All right, so get this. We're diving into a world where robots aren't just sci-fi anymore. We're talking humanoid robots.
Yeah,
Walking among us, maybe even making us coffee.
right.
You've been asking about this tech, and trust me, after digging into Peter Diamandis' report, The Rise of Humanoid Robots, and a blog post that echoes some of his predictions, I'm even more fascinated than when we started.
What's really captivating is that we're on the cusp of a true robot revolution,
Yeah.
not just like incremental improvements.
Right.
It's like all these different technologies have suddenly matured at the same time,
Yeah.
creating this perfect storm.
Okay, so break down this perfect storm for me.
Sure.
Diamandis talks about 5 key areas.
Right.
It's not just one breakthrough, right?
Right. It's the convergence that's key.
Okay.
First, you've got AI that's not just smart, but multimodal.
Okay.
Think GPT-4.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of living in a computer, it's got eyes, ears, a voice.
Whoa.
It's learning by doing, like we do.
So they're learning as they go.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So these robots are constantly getting better
Wow.
the more they interact with the world.
Okay, so it's not just pre-programmed moves. They're learning on the fly.
Yeah.
It's a bit unnerving,
Yeah,
but also super cool.
it is.
What else is in this tech cocktail?
Well, those smarts need a body to work through, and that's where high-torque actuators come in.
Oh.
Imagine giving a robot muscles that are stronger and more precise than ours.
Oh, wow.
That's what's allowing them to move with human-like grace, handle delicate objects, you name it.
Okay, brains and brawn check.
Yeah,
But doesn't all that processing take massive computing power?
it does. But luckily, computing is getting cheaper and more powerful by the minute.
Oh, that's good.
Those chips are getting so tiny and efficient. It's like giving these robots a supercomputer in their heads.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That brings us to the Achilles heel of a lot of tech battery life.
Yeah,
Can't have a robot revolution if they're constantly plugged in.
right. And that's where the advancements in electric vehicles come in. The battery tech that's giving us longer range cars
Mm-hmm.
is trickling down to robots.
So we're finally getting somewhere.
Yes, we're talking full workdays on a single charge,
Yeah.
not just an hour or two.
That's huge.
It is.
Last piece of the puzzle gotta be those sensors, right?
It is.
How are they getting so good at navigating our messy, unpredictable world?
Think about it. They're getting bombarded with information through cameras and tactile sensors.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're developing superhuman senses.
Really?
They can grasp delicate objects, maneuver around obstacles,
Wow.
and even respond to touch.
Okay, hold up. I need to process this.
Yeah.
So we've got robots that are strong, smart, long-lasting, and aware of their surroundings.
Yes.
What's the CEO of Figure AI, Brett Adcock, say about all this?
He predicts we'll soon be talking to our robots the same way we talk to Alexa.
Really?
Just casual conversation.
Like even commands?
Exactly. Giving commands, getting things done.
Wow.
It's a game changer in terms of how we'll interact with them.
Okay, whoa, robot butlers taking orders. Mm-hmm.
That's straight out of a movie.
It is?
So let's talk market predictions.
Sure.
Everyone's trying to figure out how big this is going to get,
I know.
and the numbers are all over the place.
Yeah, even the experts are having a hard time wrapping their heads around it.
Okay.
Goldman Sachs is playing it relatively safe,
Okay.
with a $38 billion market by 2035.
Safe, that sounds massive to me.
Right.
But I guess compared to some of the others, it's practically peanuts.
Right, Morgan Stanley, they're much more bullish,
Okay.
predicting a $1 trillion market just in the U.S. by 2050.
A trillion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you've got Macquarie,
Mm-hmm.
even more optimistic, $3 trillion globally by the same year.
Okay, so billions, trillions, where does it stop?
Right.
Isn't ARK Invest going even further out on a limb?
They are, but with a caveat.
Okay.
Their $24 trillion prediction is based on robots being equally at home in factories and our homes.
Okay.
That's a big if. But if it happens, it's a whole different ballgame. So we're talking about a world where robots aren't just in factories and labs.
Right.
They're in our kitchens and living rooms,
Exactly.
kind of like Elon Musk's vision.
Musk's been pretty vocal about this. He said that if you have a sentient humanoid robot that can navigate the real world and do tasks on command,
Mm-hmm.
there's basically no limit to how much the economy could grow.
Okay, so why all the hype?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the gee whiz factor, why are businesses and governments throwing money at this tech?
Because it's not just about cool gadgets. It's about solving some very real problems.
Okay.
Take the elderly care crisis, for example.
Okay.
The global population is aging rapidly,
Yeah.
and we're facing a massive shortage of caregivers.
Yeah, I've seen those stats about dependency ratios.
Right.
By 2030, the U.S. will have 25 people over 70 for every 100 working-age adults.
Yeah,
And Japan double that.
exactly. It's a ticking time bomb.
It is.
And humanoid robots could be a game changer.
Okay.
Imagine having robots that can provide companionship, help with daily tasks,
Mm.
even monitor health conditions.
Wow.
It could drastically improve the quality of life for seniors and maybe even reduce healthcare costs.
Okay, so elder care is one big one.
Mm-hmm.
What other problems are these robots poised to tackle?
Think about all the dangerous and downright undesirable jobs out there.
Okay.
Stuff nobody wants to do,
Yeah.
like disaster rescue, working in nuclear reactors,
Mm.
even those millions of unfilled jobs in manufacturing,
Mm.
because they're just not appealing to humans.
So robots are stepping in where humans either can't or won't.
Right.
Does anyone even have an estimate of how many jobs we're talking about?
Goldman Sachs predicts that robots could fill somewhere between 1.1 and 3.5 million of those jobs globally.
Oh, wow.
That's a huge chunk of the workforce.
And it's not just about filling gaps. It's about freeing up humans to do what we're good at.
Right.
Things that require creativity and problem-solving human connection.
Right. It's about shifting the nature of work itself.
Wow.
And there are a couple of countries that are particularly interested in this shift.
You're talking about China and Japan.
Exactly. They're both facing rapidly aging populations and needing to move away from economies based on cheap labor.
Yeah.
So they're going all in on developing and adopting humanoid robots. They see it as essential to their future.
Makes sense, but here's the thing.
Yeah,
Aren't these robots still crazy expensive?
they are, but that's changing faster than anyone expected.
Really?
Remember that Morgan Stanley analysis of Tesla's Optimus Gen 2?
Kinda?
They estimated the build costs at around $50,000 to $60,000.
Okay. That's a lot, but I guess it depends on what they can do and how long they last.
And here's the kicker. Those costs are plummeting.
Wow.
Goldman Sachs says manufacturing costs have dropped a whopping 40% in the past year alone.
What?
They were predicting 15 to 20%.
Wow.
So this is way ahead of schedule.
Okay, and Elon Musk wants to get that cost down even further, right?
He does.
Something like $20,000 for an Optimus? Is that even realistic?
It sounds ambitious, but Musk has a history of pulling off the seemingly impossible.
That's
He's looking at a few key strategies.
like what, all ears?
First, there's scale production.
Okay.
Just like with Tesla cars, the more robots they churn out, the lower the cost per unit.
Makes sense.
Then there's AI-driven R&D.
Okay.
AI can actually help design and test robots much faster,
Oh, wow.
which slashes development costs.
So it's like having a million engineers working 24/7, making the whole process cheaper and faster.
Exactly.
What's the third strategy?
Sourcing from China,
Okay.
access to their cost-effective components could be a game changer in making these robots truly affordable.
Interesting. And Musk isn't alone in targeting that $20,000 price point, right?
That's right. There's that Chinese company Unitree,
Yeah.
and their G1 robot is already selling for $16,000.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay.
And think about this. If you could lease a robot for, say, $300 a month,
Mm-hmm.
it could work around the clock 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
The hourly cost would be less than minimum wage.
Wow, that really puts it into perspective.
It does.
So we're potentially looking at a future where robot labor is not just possible, it's actually cheaper than human labor.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And to grasp the magnitude of that shift, we need to apply what's called first principles thinking.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is that exactly?
It's about breaking down complex problems into their fundamental parts.
Okay.
By doing that, we can often see solutions that we'd miss if we were just looking at the problem as a whole.
So how does that apply to humanoid robots? Give me an example.
Let's take manufacturing costs.
Yeah.
Right now, the biggest expense in building robots is human labor.
Okay.
But what happens when you have robots building robots?
Yeah.
Labor costs essentially vanish.
Mind blown. So robots become cheaper to make,
Exactly.
which makes them more accessible,
Yes.
which leads to more robots.
so
A
just-
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. And then there's the cost of intelligence.
Okay.
Companies like Google and OpenAI are pouring billions into developing incredibly powerful AI. That AI can then be integrated into robots, making them super intelligent without significantly increasing the price.
So intelligence is basically becoming free.
Pretty much.
That's wild. And I'm guessing funding for these companies isn't exactly an issue.
Not when you're talking about a potential market. This size investment capital won't be a bottleneck for the leading companies in this space.
Okay, so we've got cheap manufacturing, essentially free intelligence,
Yeah.
and unlimited funding. What happens when you put all that together?
You get a world of incredible abundance, but also potentially a world of profound upheaval.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What does this abundance with upheaval scenario look like? Paint me a picture.
Vinod Khosla, a well-known venture capitalist, predicts that by 2040, we could have 1 billion bipedal robots doing all sorts of tasks,
Wow.
freeing humans from the drudgery of undesirable jobs. He even thinks this industry could surpass the auto industry in size.
1 billion robots walking around, that's a mind-boggling image. What about the CEO of Figure AI? Does he have a similar vision?
Brett Adcock sees a future where the cost of goods and services plummets because robot labor replaces human labor.
Oh, wow.
It's a radical concept. But he believes we could even see those costs trending towards zero in the long run.
Zero. So basically everything becomes affordable.
Right.
Sounds pretty utopian, but let's
Yeah.
be real. If robots are doing all the jobs, what happens to all the people who were doing those jobs before?
That's the big question, and it's where that upheaval part comes in.
Right.
Remember, ARK invests $24 trillion prediction.
Yeah.
That hinges on robots working seamlessly in both homes and factories.
Right.
If that happens, there's no doubt we'll see massive job displacement.
So what do we do about that? Are we headed for a future of mass unemployment and social unrest, or is there a way to navigate this transition?
That's the challenge, and we need to be thinking about solutions now, not when it's too late. Welcome back. Before the break, we were laying out just how big this robot revolution could be,
Yeah.
and frankly, it's a lot to process.
No kidding. But I'm also curious to dig into the specifics. You mentioned Tesla leveraging their car manufacturing know-how for their
Yeah.
Optimus robot.
Right.
Diamandis's report goes into that, right?
It does, and it's a fascinating strategy.
Okay.
They're not building entirely new infrastructure.
Right.
They're adapting what they already have.
So they're working with what they got.
Exactly. Think about it. The factories, the supply chains, all that expertise in mass production,
Mm-hmm.
it's all being applied to Optimus.
So they're streamlining the process by using existing resources.
Exactly.
Smart move, and it's not just the hardware, right?
No.
They're also bringing their AI and autonomous driving knowledge to the table.
Exactly. That's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
They're already leaders in those fields, so it makes perfect sense to apply that to robots.
Okay.
It speeds up development and helps keep costs down.
So what can we actually see Optimus doing?
Oh,
There are videos, demos, anything like that?
there are Tesla's released footage of the Gen 2 model doing things like sorting objects, walking through their factory,
Right.
even dancing in sync with other robots.
Dancing robots, that sounds more like a gimmick than anything practical.
It's definitely entertaining,
Yeah.
but it also showcases the robot's agility and coordination.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to work in our messy, unpredictable world,
Right.
it needs those skills.
Okay, fair point. But what about the Gen 3 model?
Yeah.
What's so special about that one? I keep hearing about its dexterity.
The Gen 3 Optimus is a major step forward,
Okay.
especially when it comes to those hands.
Okay.
They've got 22 degrees of freedom, which means
Yeah.
imagine your hand can move in 22 different ways.
Okay.
That's the level of fine motor control we're talking about.
22 different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm picturing it, but I still don't quite grasp what that allows it to do.
Think about the delicate tasks we take for granted.
Okay.
Tesla's shown videos of the Gen 3 handling eggs without breaking them.
Really?
They've even hinted at it being able to play the piano.
Whoa, a piano-playing robot? Okay, now that's impressive.
And it's not just about delicacy. The Gen 3 also has enhanced tactile sensing and force control. So it knows how much pressure to apply for different tasks, picking up an egg without crushing it, but also being able to lift heavy objects when needed. It's becoming remarkably versatile.
It definitely sounds like Tesla's going all in on this. Are they the only ones making such big leaps, though?
Well,
What about Figure AI?
yeah,
Their Figure 02 robot is already out there working in that BMW factory.
that's right. And it's a great example of a robot designed specifically for industrial settings. One of its standout features is its advanced speech capability.
Okay.
Workers can communicate with it naturally, just like you and I are talking right now.
So no complicated programming or code.
Yeah,
You just tell it what to do and it understands.
pretty much.
Wow.
And it has incredible hand-eye coordination,
Mm-hmm.
as essential for those precise, complex tasks you find in manufacturing.
It sounds like a dream come true for industries struggling to find workers. What's next for Figure AI? Are they constantly improving it?
Absolutely, they're working on things like autonomous navigation and task planning. The goal is for the robot to operate with even more independence, needing less and less human intervention.
Makes sense. Now, remind me about agility robotics.
Yeah.
They're the ones with the digit robot that looks like it could win a robot Olympics with those bird-like legs.
Right.
What are they focused on?
Digit is all about warehouses and logistics.
Right.
Those legs are designed for navigating stairs, uneven terrain, all the challenges you find in those environments. And remember those partnerships we talked about? Amazon and GXO Logistics?
Yeah.
They're already working with Digit to see how it can streamline their operations.
Right. So they're getting in early with those giants of e-commerce and logistics. But I can see how that would be a huge market for robots like Digit.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. The companies get efficiency and robots get a proving ground.
Exactly. As online shopping keeps growing, those warehouses need all the help they can get. And humanoid robots like Digit could be the answer.
Now, what about that company that's shaking things up with its affordability Unitree? They're selling robots for a fraction of the price of some of these others.
I know, it's crazy.
Tell me more about their approach.
Unitree's playing a different game.
Okay.
They're not just targeting large corporations. They're making robots accessible to a much broader audience.
Okay.
Their G1 model at $16,000 is proof of that.
Wow.
It may not have all the fancy features of an Optimus or a Figure 02, but it's still a capable machine.
And you mentioned it can do a standing long jump of over 4 feet. I still can't get over that.
I know.
That's not just a robot. It's a robot athlete. What else are they working on?
They've got the H1 in development, which is a bigger, more industrial-focused robot.
Okay.
So they're trying to cover all the bases, becoming the everyman robot company.
Yeah.
Need a robot for your business? They've got you covered. Need one for around the house. They're working on that too.
It's an interesting strategy, and it seems to be working. They're selling a lot of robots.
They are, and they're constantly innovating, releasing new models and features. It's definitely a company to keep an eye on.
Okay, now for the robot that's less about practicality and more about personality.
Right.
Engineered Art's a Mecha robot.
Right.
It's the one that creeps everyone out with its realistic facial expressions, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Amika's less about doing tasks and more about human-like interaction.
Okay.
It's about exploring that boundary, seeing how natural and engaging we can make communication with robots. Remember, it even spoke at the UN.
I do. It gave a presentation about AI's role in society and answered questions. Still blows my mind.
I know.
But you're right, it's not going to be flipping burgers anytime soon.
Right. Think about it more in terms of customer service, education, maybe even entertainment.
Okay.
Imagine a robot receptionist that can actually make you feel welcome. A robot tutor that can tailor its teaching to your learning style, or even a robot actor that can convey real emotions.
Okay, now those are some interesting possibilities. So we've got companies focused on building robot workers, others building robot companions. It's amazing to see the range of approaches.
Yeah, it is.
But what about the bigger picture this tech is developing at warp speed? Because we're not entirely sure what to do with it.
You're hitting on the biggest question of all. What does all this mean for society as a whole?
Right.
We're talking about a technology with the potential to reshape the world as we know it, and it's both exciting and a little bit terrifying.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads. On the one hand, we could be entering a golden age of abundance and progress where robots solve our problems and free us to focus on what makes us human.
Right.
On the other hand, there's the potential for disruption on a scale we've never seen before. Job displacement, economic inequality, ethical dilemmas. These are serious challenges we need to address.
Yeah, they are.
So it's not all sunshine and roses. There's a dark side to this robot revolution, and we need to be prepared for it.
We do, and that's why it's so crucial to be having these conversations.
Yeah.
To be thinking critically about this technology and to be actively involved in shaping its development and implementation.
We can't just sit back and hope for the best. We need to be proactive, informed, and engaged. Knowledge is power, especially when you're dealing with something as potentially transformative as humanoid robots.
I couldn't agree more. And that brings us to the most important question of all. How do we navigate this transition responsibly and ensure that this technology benefits all of humanity?
Ooh, that's a big one. Guess we'll have to unpack that after the break. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the complexities of the robot revolution. All right, so we've covered the dazzling tech, the ambitious companies, and the potential for robots to, reshape our world. But let's get real. What happens to our jobs when robots can do so much?
Right.
It's the question everyone's asking.
It is the question. And frankly, I'm a bit concerned that we're not talking about it enough. This isn't just some far-off sci-fi scenario.
Right.
It's happening now.
It is.
And the speed of this robot revolution means we need to be proactive, not reactive.
Okay, so let's brainstorm. People throw around ideas like universal basic income, UBI.
Right.
But is that really feasible on a large scale?
Yep.
I mean, how do you even begin to implement something like that?
UBI is definitely a hot topic,
Yeah.
and it's worth exploring.
Okay.
The idea is that if robots are generating massive wealth,
Mm-hmm.
some of that could be redistributed to guarantee everyone a basic standard of living,
Okay.
regardless of work.
But I can already see the logistical nightmares.
Sure.
How do you fund it? Who qualifies? Does it discourage people from working at all? There's so many questions.
You're right. It's not a simple solution.
Wow.
But the point is, we need to be thinking about these things now.
Right.
Alongside UBI, we need to massively invest in retraining and education.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about preparing people for jobs that require uniquely human skills,
Mm-hmm.
the kind robots haven't cracked yet.
So not just learning to code, but learning to think creatively, solve complex problems, connect with people emotionally, all those things we humans do naturally, but are still tough for robots to replicate.
Exactly. And here's where things get interesting. If robots take over the mundane, repetitive tasks, it frees us up to focus on things we're actually passionate about.
Oh.
Maybe we pursue creative endeavors, start businesses, or dedicate ourselves to solving social problems, things that bring meaning and fulfillment.
So it's not necessarily a robot apocalypse where we're all out of work and miserable.
Right.
It could actually be an opportunity to redefine what it means to work, to find purpose in new ways.
I think that's a powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's about adapting, evolving, and embracing the possibilities this technology offers. Of course, there will be challenges along the way.
Yeah.
But if we plan carefully and focus on shared benefits, it doesn't have to be a dystopian future.
Well said. It's not about fearing the future. It's about shaping it. But how do we do that? Where do we even begin?
It starts with awareness,
Okay.
educating ourselves about this technology, engaging in these conversations, and demanding that ethical considerations are front and center as robots become more integrated into our lives.
So if I'm listening to this right now, what's the one thing I should take away from this deep dive? What's the call to action?
The robot revolution is happening. The genie's out of the bottle, but we're not powerless.
Right.
We can choose to be passive observers, or we can choose to be active participants in shaping this future.
Yeah.
The choice is ours.
Powerful stuff. It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of humanoid robots with you. I'm walking away with a lot to think about, and I bet our listeners are too.
I hope so. This is just the beginning of the conversation, and we encourage everyone to delve deeper, ask questions, and stay curious.
We've got links to Peter Diamandis' full report and that thought-provoking blog post in the show notes, so definitely check those out for more information.
And as always, keep those questions coming. The future is being written right now, and we all have a role to play.
Until next time, stay curious.